अस्सलाम वालेकुम माय डियर स्टूडेंट्स। मेरा नाम डॉक्टर मोहम्मद हफीज़। आई एम ए प्रोफेसर ऑफ सोशियोलॉजी। मुझे जिस मज़मून को पढ़ाना है वो ह्यूमन रिलेशंस है। ह्यूमन रिलेशंस ऐसे लगता है जैसे बड़ा आसान सा और कॉमन सेंस का सब्जेक्ट है। शायद ये बात किसी हद तक दुरुस्त भी है, लेकिन ह्यूमन रिलेशंस मेरी नज़र में बहुत अहम सब्जेक्ट है। इसकी वजह से आपकी ज़िंदगी बहुत अच्छी बन सकती है या इसमें मसाइल आ सकते हैं। ये आपकी अपनी ज़ाती ज़िंदगी का सब्जेक्ट भी है और आपके फैमिली के साथ भी इसका ताल्लुक़ है और आपकी प्रोफेशनल लाइफ के साथ भी इसका ताल्लुक़ है। इस मज़मून को पढ़ाते हुए मैं आपको समझाने की कोशिश करूंगा कि ये आपकी ज़िंदगी के लिए कितना अहम मज़मून है। दिस सब्जेक्ट एक्चुअली टेल्स यू हाउ टू हैव अ ब्यूटीफुल, गुड एंड रिच लाइफ। ये ऐसा मज़मून है जिसके ज़रिए आप अपनी ज़िंदगी को अच्छा और ख़ूबसूरत बना सकेंगे। ना सिर्फ अपनी ज़ाती ज़िंदगी को, बल्कि अपने घर वालों के साथ आपकी जो ज़िंदगी गुजरती है। लेकिन इसके साथ साथ असल मकसद इस मज़मून को यहाँ पे पढ़ाने का आपकी जो जॉब में या वर्क में जो लाइफ है, दी परफॉर्मेंस एट वर्क प्लेस, दैट हैज़ टू बी इम्प्रूव्ड और दैट हैज़ टू इम्प्रूव। उसके लिए हमने इस मज़मून को चूज़ किया है आपके लिए, ताकि आप हम इसको आपके लिए यहाँ पे पढ़ा सकें। इस मज़मून के बारे में कहने को ये कहते हैं कि ये कॉमन सेंस का मज़मून है। शायद ये बात दुरुस्त हो, लेकिन ये कॉमन सेंस से बहुत ज़्यादा है। अगर यही बात होती तो मैनेजर्स को सबसे ज़्यादा मसला ह्यूमन रिलेशंस का ना होता, बल्कि किसी और चीज़ का होता। टेक्निकल इल्म, रिसर्च ये कहती है कि उसका आपकी कामयाबी में शायद 15% कंट्रीब्यूशन है, एंड इन योर सक्सेस द स्किल्स ऑफ interpersonal skills are nearly 85% important। तो इस मज़मून की इतनी अहमियत है कि मैं जितना कहूँ मुझे ऐसे लगता है कम है। क्योंकि अगर आपके पास बहुत सारा इल्म है, लेकिन उस इल्म को इस्तेमाल करने के लिए आपके साथ लोगों के ताल्लुकात नहीं है जिनको आपने इल्म देना है या जिनके साथ वो इल्म यूज़ करना है, तो फिर आपके इस इल्म की अहमियत नहीं रहती, उसका यूज़ कोई नहीं रहता। तो मेरे पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से जितना इस इल्म को जानना जॉब के रेफरेंस से ज़रूरी है, उतना शायद दूसरे किसी इल्म की शायद मेरी नज़र में उतनी ज़रूरत नहीं है जितनी इसकी है। तो इस ख्याल से, इस सोच के तहत इस मज़मून को यहाँ पे पढ़ाया जाएगा और मैं कोशिश करूँगा कि इस मज़मून के ज़रिए आपके अंदर वो सलाहियतें पैदा की जाएँ, वो एबिलिटीज़ पैदा की जाए, जिन एबिलिटीज़ के ज़रिए आप दूसरों के साथ अच्छा वक्त गुजार सकें, उनसे काम ले सकें, उनका काम कर सकें। इट इज़ बेसिकली ए सब्जेक्ट विच रिलेट्स टू जूनियर्स, सीनियर्स, को-वर्कर्स, उनके साथ ताल्लुकात की बात है। इनके साथ ताल्लुकात किस लिए? ताल्लुकात काम करने और कराने के लिए। नाउ आई वुड लाइक टू प्रोवाइड यू सम फॉर्मल definitions of human relations. These definitions are basically textbook definitions, and these are to prepare you or provide you formal knowledge which is given in books, but I will explain how these human relations actually influence our behaviors, our actions, our job performance. Human relations means interactions with people, how people deal with each other, how comfortable are the relationships, how much goodwill do you have in the minds of other people. Human relations are actually the art of using systematic knowledge about human behavior to improve personal and job effectiveness. The effective use of human relations therefore helps both the individual and the organizations. Now, To develop human relations, to improve human relations, it is important to understand yourself. Now, there are three types of selves. One is the private self of yours. The other is projected public self. And the third one is perceived public self. Now, I like to make a distinction in three aspects of one person. As a person, मेरी एक अपनी ज़िंदगी है. मैं एक जब अपने आप को प्राइवेटली देखता हूँ तो वो मेरा एक प्राइवेट सेल्फ है. The other is what I like to project myself in public. That is projected public self. What I want the people to understand me, what I want people to know me as a kind of person, that is what I would like to project myself to the public. Now, it is not necessary that what I like to project people understand or people take you the way you want them to take. So, on that account, there is a difference between what you like to project and what people actually perceive you. Perceived public self is extremely important because it influences the behavior of other individuals towards you. When you ask them to do something, they actually do it because they know you the way they know you. That is, as I said, perceived public self. How do they see things from you? Whether you are communicating in written form, verbally, or through some messenger or something, if they take you that whenever you say something that means business, then they will not ignore your orders or your request or your letter or your message. But if they have a different image of yours, obviously they will take the message from you differently. So what I mean to say that your image counts a lot. That image of yours actually make people act in this direction or another direction. So in other words, what I am trying to convey to you is that your relations with other people will actually determine the nature of public self or perceived public self. That perceived public self will actually make people act the way you want them to act or not. Now, the focus of this course basically is human relations and job performance, like how human relations influence your job effectiveness, your person in the job, your person in the field, how people do things for you, how do you do things yourself, how those things which are done by you are perceived by other people, as I tried to explain how perceived public self is important for you. Now let me explain this phenomena in a different way so that you could understand this important point sufficiently. What I would like to say that any communication has three meanings. Whatever I say in any form, that is written, spoken, or any other form, there are three meanings. One, pure meanings, the meanings which I use through words like dictionary meanings. The second one is intended meanings, the meanings I like to convey to you, or to any person, or to a subordinate, or to a senior, in any shape or form. As I said, written, spoken, or sending messages through somebody. And the third one is perceived meanings, the meanings which are taken by people. How do they take or took the message which you sent to them, as I said, in any shape or form. Now, The most important meaning is the perceived meaning. Why? Because the actions of the other people are dependent upon the meanings which they have taken, not the intended meanings which you actually wanted to convey to other people. Now, in other words, what I want to say, that the best communication is that in which intended meanings and perceived meanings are the same. Pure meanings may not be as important as the perceived meanings or followed by intended meanings. In other words, a speaker or a person or an individual have to be concerned about these two meanings, that is, are the forms of communication, that is individual, and that is intended meanings and the perceived meanings. If there is no gap between intended meaning and perceived meanings, that means it is best form of communication, but it never happens. So what I like to say, that we should be concerned to improve our human relations, that what we say people should take the way you want to say the thing to other people. Human relations to me are very important, because human relations will actually improve your job performance. And human relations will depend upon this understanding that what you intend to convey, that actually is conveyed in the same sense, and it is perceived by others in the same sense. To me, this is critical. That is why many a times people have problems with other people, and this is sometimes called misunderstanding. So the source of misunderstanding is the difference between intended meanings and perceived meanings. This is the strongest message which I like to convey to you in today's lesson, is this, that you should be concerned that people understand what you want them to understand. People get the message which you want to convey to the people or to your junior, superior or co-workers. So having said that, I would like to say that this sort of communication actually results in improved relations. Individuals' behavior is determined based on these communication dynamics. Now, when individual is behaving, acting, doing things, many a times that individual is acting, doing things in the form of a group. Now, if the group understands well whatever is being said by co-workers, by superiors, by juniors, then it is easy to follow the instructions. It is easy to understand what is being said, and people then do the way they are asked to do or they are requested to do. So group behavior actually is once again dependent upon the clear communication exchange among the group members. So group behavior once again depends upon clear communication. When you move on to a bigger situation, that is organizational behavior, that is basically collective behavior of the larger number of people, larger than a small group, that organizational performance once again depends upon that communication which is in the form of groups or between individual and groups, and then individuals, groups, and the organization itself. In other words, organizations are created to produce goods and services, and goods and services can be efficiently or effectively produced if people are working optimally or most effectively. And to make that happen, we need to convey things in the right way. And as I said, the communication will play a crucial role in terms of making people act the way you want them to act. I like to share an example with you, or share the experience across the world. Japan has become leader in manufacturing in business world. Everybody knows that. Now, how did that happen? What did Japanese do to improve their business, their company's performance? What did they do? Let me tell you. The most important thing, the single most important thing they did, they incorporated human component in their business operations. I like to give you an example. That assembly line in the United States was not working. It was a sort of a failure. Assembly line to manufacture automobiles. That assembly line was exported to Japan. And the same assembly line which failed in the United States became highly successful in Japan. What was the reason? The reason was that Japanese incorporated human component into it. You can understand that in an assembly line, one worker does one job, maybe fixing a carburetor or something, and he or she keeps on doing the same thing monotonously for the whole day, or for the whole week, for the whole month, maybe for years or something. What they did, they broke this monotony and they introduced some variation. That was one thing. Secondly, when you are doing one monotonous thing, it doesn't give you any, what you should say, sort of a satisfaction. You are doing a mechanical job like a robot, and there is no sense of achievement. But on the other hand, if you are doing different things and you are doing better than before, better than others, when these human components are involved in your work, the satisfaction increases and you like to work in that assembly line. On that account, that assembly line, as I said, which failed in the United States, became successful in Japan. And then similar assembly lines were actually built, like so many of them, and they started working in the United States, and they started working in, they continued working in Japan and elsewhere as well. Now, just to put another type of emphasis, what I like to say, that managers basically concerned with three things, or they work with three things. These are three types of resources: physical, financial, and human. Now, these three different types of resources are important. You can't do anything without capital. Money is needed to buy many things. Yes, no doubt about that. The second thing is physical resources: the building, the environment, the furniture, the equipment, all sorts of physical resources. Obviously, these are very important. But let me say that physical resources are money, the financial resources, who are going to make use of them. If money is sitting there, physical and infrastructure is there, but no one is there to use it, or no one knows how to use it. What good is that infrastructure? What good is that money? What good is that capital? Obviously, these are human beings who have to make use of these physical and monetary resources. To use those physical and monetary resources, humans are needed. Now, human resource could be of good quality or could be of inferior quality. If it is a good quality human beings, then they will use these physical and financial resources optimally and most effectively. Now, if you have good human beings, capable human beings, and they have to use those physical and financial resources, but unfortunately, they don't get along with each other well. They don't have good relations with each other. They keep on fighting with each other. There is continuing conflict among themselves. They will just resolve conflict every day. They will probably waste their energies every day. They will not actually be using those physical and financial resources. And that is why these human relations come into play, because they are actually going to make use of those resources optimally or most effectively. So that is why I am trying to emphasize that human relations are critical in running organizations to the optimum, to the best possible way, and that is something which I would like to emphasize more and more throughout my course, and I would like to present some of the examples sometimes to show that how human relations actually were used to bring success to organizations, or how did they affect negatively at times. On that account, what I like to bring to your attention is, how do you actually improve human skills? How do you actually improve human relations? How do you actually improve interpersonal skills so that you could relate with people, you could associate with people, you could get things done from people? How do you actually have congenial, positive, supportive relations for effective work culture and improved personal job performance, group performance, and organizational performance? So our objective would be how to use human relations for improved work performance in an organization. I'd like to introduce two concepts here, which will let you know how to improve human relations. How could you improve your own interpersonal skills? One concept is called empathy, the other is called apathy. These two concepts are cardinal, I would say, to improve human skills, to improve human relations. Apathy is a sort of that somebody is unconcerned about what is happening in the organization or elsewhere. You don't see anything or you don't have any interest in the organizational affairs. Sometimes you could say that, I don't know, I'm not concerned, I'm not interested. These are sort of attributes of apathy. If you are not concerned what is happening in the organization, then nothing will happen. On the other hand, there is another concept, empathy. Empathy actually relates to the situation where you could put yourself in the shoes of the other person. In that case, what happens? You could understand if somebody did not do something or did not do the way you wanted. That is something you will probably able to understand if you can put yourself in somebody's shoes. Like, you empathize with the other person. You don't sympathize, rather empathize. When you put yourself in the shoes of the other person, then you can understand why the person did not adhere to your instructions, for example. He may have or she may have some serious problem, some serious issue, which did not make the person do what he or she was supposed to do. Let me tell you one thing. When organizations hire individuals, they do not hire only the technical skills of yours, the technology you know. No, you are hired as a total person. And the total person actually is composed of or made of many characteristics of yours, which includes you yourself, your person, your relations, your family, your knowledge, your technical skills, all sorts of things. That is the totality of a person that is hired. So that is why it is important that you perform as a total person in the organization, not as a technical person. You cannot say that this is a technical thing I have done. No, I don't care who takes it away or who doesn't take it away. It leaves here and rottens or something. So your total person is responsible. You are a citizen of that organization. You should work towards the improvement of an organization. You should work towards improved output of the organization. Now, here I like to bring to your attention that in Japan, many organizations make people basically sit in or stand in assembly lines, और वो वहाँ पे खड़े होके उस कंपनी का तराना गाते हैं, उस कंपनी की तारीफ करते हैं, उस कंपनी के साथ अपनी ज़िंदगी को वाबस्ता करते हैं और लोगों को बताते हैं कि that we are associated with this company. Now, why do they do that? The reason behind is that you are actually loyal to that organization as a total person, not just for 4 hours, 8 hours or 10 hours, whatever you are there. You are actually, as I said, hired as a total person, and you contribute towards the improvement or improved performance of the organization. That is why I am trying to emphasize that your total person is hired. I like to re-emphasize, which I said before, that most of the problems which individuals or employees face in organizations are related with interpersonal relations. And those problems actually are significantly important for managers because they actually face those issues day by day, hour by hour, minute by minute, and they have to deal with these situations. You can very well imagine that if there is some sort of machine, a computer or anything, you press a button, it works. It is individuals, humans, who actually sometimes refuse. Humans are complex thinking machines. As I said, they refuse. They don't do the way you want them to do, as machines do. Let me say this thing in another way. It is not difficult to manage buildings, machine operations, because they keep on doing things unless some fault develops and you fix that fault and that machine runs again. On the other hand, humans, they have all sorts of paraphernalia with them, all sorts of problems they bring along from their families, from their relations. Now, this complexity of human beings makes it very hard for managers to control the behaviors and actions of individuals. And that is why, to tell you the truth, the management of humans becomes a challenge for managers, and the ones who manage people well, they are paid well. As I said, technology, or technically speaking, you can press a button, things move. But humans have many things to think about, to talk about, they have lots of problems, issues which are not related with the organization, which may relate with the organization, which may relate with co-workers, which may relate with juniors, which may relate with seniors, and elsewhere as well. Now, to manage humans with all these paraphernalia and burden and social burden, psychological burden, emotional burden, it becomes a challenge for superiors or seniors or managers to control the behavior of juniors in the organization. And I like to emphasize it's not just juniors. You have to get work done from seniors as well. If your file is gone, if your file or some work to be approved by your senior, if it is gone there, he says no, it is important. Says yes, yes, it is important. No, if he feels that this person means business, he will do it the way he is promising in this, let's say, file or in this intention which he has conveyed, then he will probably sign it, approve it, and maybe give you some reward, and you will be encouraged, and that is how the company keeps on performing, keeps on improving itself. This relationship among humans and the organization, that, as I said before, will remain the focus of the whole course, through which we will try to understand how organizations could become effective through individual inputs. I'd like to introduce a concept here, that is win-win situation. I was trying to explain how a junior gets work done from the senior or from a co-worker. Individual sometimes is induced because of personal interest. Now, personal interest is very important because I have to meet my personal needs. I am motivated if I am rewarded more or better. But at the same time, if the organization also achieves its goals through my work or activities, that means I am happy because I am rewarded well. Organization is happy because the goals of organizations are also being achieved through my input. That means both organization and individuals are happy, and this is the ideal situation which we would like to actually promote through this course once again. On the other hand, or on contrary, if individual is happy but organization is not happy, obviously things are not going to work. If organization is happy, individual is not happy, again things are not going to move well. So, individual should understand what are the goals of the organization and how could I contribute more effectively or most effectively to the best of my abilities to contribute towards achievement of the objectives of the organization. If that happens, organization will be happy and the managers of the organization will try to reward you for the work you are doing for the organization. So this win-win situation actually is the ideal situation whereby you are actually rewarded personally and the organization also attains its objectives through your inputs. As I said, if either employee or the employer, if one of them is dissatisfied or unsatisfied, this relationship will not continue. If the employee is unsatisfied or dissatisfied, he might find a chance to get employment somewhere else and will leave the company. On the other hand, if employer is not happy with the work of the employee, then he might find another employee and fire the person out. So to keep the relationship and to keep the healthy relationship between employee and employer, both of them need to meet the needs of each other. If that happens, that's a win-win situation. And once again, this course will aim to inculcate those values, those skills in you through which you could understand this relationship between individual or between employee and employer for creating a win-win situation so that stable relations between employees and employers continue. I like to emphasize a point because that point will actually give satisfaction to both employees and employers. That is the link between personal life and work life. These two lives are related. People work to have good lives, and work actually is for life. You cannot separate them. They both are linked strongly. On that account, I would like to say that if you perform well in work, on job, and satisfy the employers, you will get satisfaction in life. And it actually applies vice versa as well. If you are satisfied with life, you will perform well in your workplace. Now, here, it is important to understand that if you are satisfied in your personal relations with family, friends, social circles, it will help you to be more effective on job, and you will perform well. When you perform well on your job, you will be rewarded, and that reward will let you enjoy your relations with family, with friends, with your social relations elsewhere. So there is an intricate relationship between personal life outside the work and also inside the work organization and work itself. If you understand this relationship well, I can assure you that you will have an enriched life. You will have fulfilling life, not only at home, but other places wherever you spend your time. I'd like to emphasize on another aspect which actually should give you some more skills about understanding the concept of relations between or among humans, their importance, their significance. The opposite of human relations is loneliness. Loneliness is a sort of isolation. If you feel loneliness, if you are isolated, I believe you don't have life. Having a beautiful palace, having a lot of money, but that money is not being used to relate with other people. How good is that money? I believe that money is not important at all. Money actually is a component or is a factor which helps you to relate with other people. Suppose if you have $1 million and nobody knows about it, and you are not using that money for having life, for putting that money to use in your daily living or affairs with people or something, I don't think that money is any good. Money has to have a connection with social life, then that money is useful. Otherwise, if you have $1 billion or billion rupees, that money is no good if it is not being used to improve your life. And the life, as I said, is in relations. Life is for people, with people. And if that money is sitting somewhere doing nothing, to me, that money is no good. Now, this loneliness could have two forms. One, social loneliness, and the other is emotional loneliness. Social loneliness, when you don't have friends, there are no people around you. That loneliness will have its own consequences for you. And if you are socially alone, you will not have friends. You will not be able to relate with people. You will not have relations with people. And if you don't have relations with people, you will probably be able to get few things done from there. You will not be able to get a lot of work done from people. So social loneliness is important in terms of networking, in terms of doing things collectively or in the form of a group. So social skills will play a role towards improving your networking or group performance. And as I said, social loneliness will be affecting your group performance negatively. The other loneliness, as I said, is emotional loneliness. Now, emotional loneliness affects your own personal performance. If you are emotionally alone, you are not encouraged by your family members, friends, relations, parents, wife, children. They are actually motivators for you. If emotional loneliness is there, you will not be motivated to work. And if you are not motivated, you will not be able to perform. You will not be able to work. You will not be able to work. So these both forms of loneliness, social and emotional, are critically important for you to perform well in your work organization. How do you overcome these two forms of loneliness? What are the issues around? What are the characteristics which relate to these two forms of loneliness? I said before that inadequate social skills, if you cannot relate yourself with others, if you don't have the ability to relate with others, if you don't accept people the way they are, then you don't have social skills. Let me give you an interesting example. I had a friend. I did not like some of his habits, and I was usually critical of him. One day, on a social occasion, I criticized him. You should not be doing this, is not good. I still remember that he said, and I have quoted these examples many times. He said, "Hafiz, can't you accept me the way I am?" Now, let me tell you, this was so moving for me at that time that I still use that little quote to explain people that you can accept people the way they are. They don't have to change themselves and should become like yourself to be with you, to be co-workers with you, or to be friends with you. This is very important for you to understand, my dear students, that if you feel that you can only work with a person who is just like you, let me tell you, it is very difficult to find two persons who are the same. No two persons are the same. This, to me, is extremely important for you to understand. What I notice at times, that you are unduly critical of other people. You are not accepting them. Everybody has some good things, some bad things, pluses, minuses. You cannot eliminate minuses and you tell you should have these qualities only to be friends with me or to work with me or to work for my organization. The person, as I said before, comes as a totality to you. He or she has good things and maybe some negative things as well. So it is not necessary that you tell the person that leave these negative things elsewhere and you come with these only positive things. Let me tell you, this is very difficult. You can't expect a person to be exactly like you, and if you think that you expect that, that is highly unlikely that it will ever happen. You have to accept people the way they are. Yes, you can probably ask the other person that this habit of yours hampers output of the organization. Maybe control this habit of yours and improve your work performance. To emphasize on the same point again, diversity is a skill. Diversity is a plus. If the other person has some minuses, he may have different pluses as compared to yourself. His diversity can actually be a plus for the organization. A person is good in communication, spoken communication, but is not as good in written communication. Now, that person could be used, let's say, for marketing purposes because he can speak very well. On the other hand, a person who can write well, that person could write letters for the organization. Now, probably it is not good that you expect that both the individuals should have both the spoken and written skills. That may be highly unlikely. So on that account, I think that is a diversity. One person has good spoken skills, the other person has good writing skills. They become a team, they become very effective, they can do many things. Another thing I like to emphasize is your own perception in your mind. You should be confident, you should understand that you should tell yourself that you are a good person. The high personal regard of yours is a plus, is a big plus. You should be confident person in yourself. That confidence is energy. That confidence will make you act and act confidently and with energy, and it will make you more productive. Now, let me assure you that this course will go a long way towards improving your job performance, work performance. But at the same time, this course will enhance your personal life. It will give you good life. It will help you develop good relations. It will help you sustain relations, not only, once again, in your personal life, in your family life, in your friend circles, but also in your work organizations. And let me tell you, everybody works for life. And if you can improve your life through human relations, it's not a bad deal. And I assure you that if you understand well and develop due interpersonal skills, it will improve your life, it will enrich your life, and you will have a more satisfying life. With these words, I like to say thank you. Thanks for patient listening, and Khuda Hafiz. अस्सलाम वालेकुम अज़ीज़ तलबा और तालबात। मुझे उम्मीद है कि पहला लेक्चर आपने दिलचस्पी के साथ सुना होगा, आपको अच्छा लगा होगा और कुछ सीखा होगा। मैं कोशिश करूँगा कि आज का लेक्चर भी दिलचस्प और आपको अच्छी मालूमात फराहम करे। आज का मौजू कल्चर एंड पर्सनैलिटी है। कल्चर एंड पर्सनैलिटी, these two very important concepts of human relations are significant to understand the subject we are trying to learn through this course. Culture is something like a factory, rather a group of factories which produce different types of individuals. The way different factories produce different products, similarly, culture produce different kinds of individuals to do different types of jobs in different situations, as different products satisfy different needs of different individuals in different situations. To give you a definition or a formal definition of culture, I like to read that definition to you, and then I'll try to explain more about the concept of culture. Then I'll talk about later on personality and try to establish a relationship between these two very important concepts to understand human relations in everyday life, in work life,